Alan Clements Uncensored. Thank you for listening to my podcast. A few notes about the presentation. After years of scripted talks, many of them methodically outlined, some even memorized, at least in part, I decided to drop that style and simply speak spontaneously from my heart. So that's what I do. My talks are raw and improvisational. I make them up as I go along. In addition to my World Dharma talks, I also offer at times readings from my books, Instinct for Freedom, A Future to Believe in, The Voice of Hope, and Wisdom for the World. I also offer readings of my personal notes, sometimes guided meditations, dialogues from my World Dharma public forums, interviews from radio and television, and sections from my show, Spiritually Incorrect Meets Relationship Incorrect, The Great Reckoning, and the occasional conversation with someone I find interesting. I also want to express my deep gratitude to the people who have made donations to me, either a one-time or recurring donation, either on the support page of my website, alanclements.com, or pledged a monthly amount as little as $1, perhaps $3 or even $5 a month, through my Patreon site. If you're inspired to do so, you can support this podcast and my work by making a monthly pledge at Patreon. That's patreon.com, patreon.com/Alan Clements, and there you'll find my page. You can use a credit card or pay through PayPal, and your monthly pledge, that's what it takes, just a few minutes to set up, allows me not only to do my work, it allows me to create my art, use my voice, speak my Dharma, free of commercial consideration or advertisers. Thank you from my heart for taking the time to listen to my podcast, and thank you for your generous support. I hope you enjoy the presentation. So taking a sitting posture that reflects the qualities that you and I wish to bring, not just to a sitting meditation, but to our lives. The empowerment of who we are on the terms of conscious, mindful choice to evolve a meditative practice and sitting posture that reflects those qualities, whether they be stature, self-respect, dignity. May I encourage you, and please encourage me, each time that we meditate, consciously choosing here a sitting meditation to first and foremost embody in a physical expression the emotional qualities that we wish to define our presence and our lives by. I wish to embody the innate goodness of my being. I wish to empower here the openness of heart to feel frail, at times confused, and vulnerable in the face of these staggering circumstances. I am human. I am willing to feel. An open-heartedness in the way that we sit. I will be upright without being too tense. I'm willing to occupy this primordial flow of life here and now
with the courage to simply feel and not divert or run away, but to feel. Take a breath or two or three, each of us, if you're inclined, to settle in. If it helps to put a hand on your heart or abdomen, one or both palms, to stabilize, to feel the intimacy of the breath, the body, the here and nowness of life. Do what's inclined to do. Sitting down on our chair, bench, cushion. Letting the breath breathe on its own. And bringing our awareness, this transparent knowingness, bringing it inside of the body and inhabiting our interior world with present time awareness. Not to shut off or decline any phenomena through the other senses, sounds, smells, images, emotions. Simply a willingness to feel, be mindfully present in this primordial, natural flow of life, coming through us and all around us simultaneously. May I invite us each to mindfully be present to that flow in the most open-hearted, courageous way. Stabilizing by focusing on the sensations of the whole of the body. Feel the vibration, the warmth, the tingling, the pressure, the sensations from the breath rising and the falling of the abdomen and the chest. And the sounds, and return. Let them coexist with this awareness of the body. And if you feel inclined to refine this mindful presence without forcing the breath, clearly we're breathing all the time, and from the neck to the navel, front and back, up and down, with each breath, there are corresponding physical sensations. Co-join a mindful presence with each breath as it expands the chest and the abdomen, and as it relaxes. Notice the sensations and be with that flow as much as possible with each breath. A refinement of the meditation in-breath, out-breath. Not to force the sensations or force the breathing. Feel. Feeling the primordial nature of breathing within a body, within the mind, within this context here in Ubud, Bali, Indonesia, on this planet, in this world, in this universe. Here we sit, feeling this mystery made real within our own mind and body. Simply be mindful of this flow. Be aware of each breath. And if you feel inclined to take the entirety of the body as the primary object, feel free to do that, whatever you feel inclined. Rising, falling, sitting, sitting, rising, falling, sitting. Let each of us embrace, as a mother would a child, the vastness of the complexity that we sit. Not only are we sitting in mystery, we're sitting in hyper-complexity. Each of us in our life circumstances, with our loved ones and our family, and then we expand to the global family, to nature itself. I invite you, please invite me. Intrinsic in each breath at this moment is a vastness, is a complexity that both breaks the heart and awakens heightened states of consciousness. Holding the tension of these dualities as a mother would her only child. May each of us have the courage to face each hour, each day, with discernment, wisdom, resolve, generosity, and hope. As I wish to be free of suffering and safe and secure and at peace, may we extend that same life-giving energy to our principal intimates, our family, to our deepest friendships. I love you, I think of you, I feel there with you. We're in this together. I'm here for you. Thank you for being here for me. Come what may, we'll face it. Hold my hand, hold my heart. Encourage me, I'll encourage you. Give to me, I give to you. We're in this together. Beyond our family, beyond our tribe, may we extend this field of love and support and caring and generosity to all inhabitants on this planet today and tomorrow. A life-giving, deep, heartfelt wish of love and compassion, patience, determination. May you be safe. May we take it higher. May I relax fear, prejudice, discrimination. May I speak with love and kindness, openness. There's a very well-known chant in the Buddhist tradition that speaks to the circumstances that we all are encountering. It talks about the inherent impermanence of all life. Everything, a sea of evanescence, anicca, as they use in the Buddhist Pali word, impermanence, change, conditionality. A rainbow exists because of light and moisture. Existence itself, a photonic sandcastle of infinity. We, like light creatures dancing on a sea of particles, oceans and birds, children, animals, trees, galaxies, all anicca, all impermanent, all conditioned to hold on defies reality. The chant goes, to understand impermanence and to live in wise relationship with change is to live in the highest happiness. We're called upon here to courageously face this impermanence, and equally to be intelligent and smart and to let go. Each of us born into this great ocean, each of us pass like waves. All life, all nature, all dimensions, anicca. To understand this anicca through thought, speech, and action, mind states and bodies, forms and homes and wealth and status, all impermanent. May we all go there right now in our hearts and minds and feel that the very words in the body, the breath itself, are all a dancing sea, neurons and particles, quarks, photons, infinite spirit molecules dancing in mystery. And here we are talking, sitting, living and breathing on this infinite sea of anicca. Let us occupy this impermanence with grace, with courage, with dignity, with tears, with hope, with mindful intelligence. And the chant goes like this. Anicca vata sankara, upadavaya damino, upatichua nirojanti, te samvupasamo sukho. And it means that all things in this universe, inside and outside, every wave, every rainbow, every birth and every death, every galaxy and planet, every breath, every wink, every moment of fear and love, conditions upon conditions, with no centrality, a sea of impermanence. To know that through wisdom is to live in the highest happiness. A snowflake forming and melting, and here we are in the same experience with each breath. Anicca vata sankara, upadavaya damino, upatichua nirojanti, te samvupasamo sukho. May the collective merits of our shared space today in cultivating states of Dhamma, of awakening, if you so choose, may we each share the merits, the fruit of our individual and collective actions for the benefit of all. May all benefit from the cultivation of our understanding today. May it bring ease of mind, peace of heart, security and safety. And let it pour forth like a flow of water in all directions, evenly, to all beings, seen and unseen, near and far. May they be supported in safety and peace. Please, when you feel ready, to open your eyes if you wish and change your posture if it helps. May I encourage each of you, as you would encourage me, as we take leave for the day, that take whatever meditative elements of this day into our lives and be willing to sit in quietude and extend these qualities of beauty, of caring, as a way to mitigate any fear or uncertainty, choosing love over panic. So if there are things that you would like to discuss to tie up the day for these final 10 or 15 minutes, may I encourage you, if you wish, to ask for clarity, share anything that you may want, How can I be of support? How can the group support what you're looking at, what you're feeling? If there's anything, please feel encouraged to share.
I really resonated with what you said much earlier in the day about that call to action.
Call to action.
Yeah, that comes from like a deeper knowing, and it's for me it's been a really interesting process of observation of the closure of a reality that we know so well, which is also a very similar to our programming mind, right? That what's outside and how we know society and structure and rules and regulations and future and past. And another thing that I really resonated is that, choose to, how did you say, choose the closure of the future, or what, choose to end future, because it has already been done for us in a lot of ways. Right? So one of the first things that I noticed was having a diary journal just every week, just scribbling out every one of my commitments and plans and ideas and aspirations and movements, and it just sort of shut that whole reality shut down.
I hear you. Beautiful. Let me say a few words to that. A call to action, calling off the future, prioritizing purpose. As I hear you reflect back to me things that you hear me say, just coming out of my 3 months in Burma, which is my final time there after 43 years, and being in an intimate meditative setting, and the world circumstance where my action today is very immediate and intimate and somewhat quiet. I so love, the Rilke line. I love those who know the secret things. The secret things are in the detail, are in the refinement, aren't they? The way that you look, the way that you breathe, the way that you touch, the way that you prepare, the way that you... My mom held her hands up and said, Alan, use them. Don't just say, I love you. Show love. Showing up. How to show up in our little ways for ourselves under the circumstances of who we are, where we are, with whom we're with. What will I do tonight that exemplifies the miracle and the magic of our learning throughout life and today? Or will I leave the refinement at the gate before we leave the villa? So how to carry forth that yoga, carry forth that call to action. How will I sip my wine tonight? Will I really truly taste it without being contrived? Who will I text, and how will I text her or him? What will I say? Will I just speak about the news or the habit? Will I take my time with the poem I want to write? How will I prepare for tomorrow? How well will I sleep tonight? And before I sleep, will I meditate? I feel like I want to cry, but will I, and why? Who will I cry to? And may I live or die? The little things. And then when I lose my poetry, I will come back to this timeless ability that I want to do more and more of, which is just to abide right now. Just abide and feel and listen.
But the rebellion inside of me doesn't want to abide. I understand when I hear you, and I understand that we're all going into voluntary isolation, but there's a part of me, the other part that says, no, that's my freedom, that's my sovereignty. And I don't choose that. I choose right now to be something else, to recreate something else and not to diminish, because I feel that that's what it's sort of almost like society is imposing, to go into your corners, and self-isolate. And I don't agree with that.
Well, I would encourage you, not at this moment right now, but I would encourage you among your most intimates to take home that question: what is the wisdom of social distancing, and really look and inhabit the wisdom of that.
And why can't we community distance? Why can't we come together and distance?
Well, it's because you could be infectious and asymptomatic, and out of your goodness, infecting other people in your compassion.
Everyone is safe. I mean, we're already,
Yeah.
if somebody here is infected,
That's
we're going to get infected, right?
That's
Why
the-
can't we
yeah.
isolate together instead of
Yeah, that's all I would suggest, is really look carefully at what the wisdom of social distancing means. It's an act of compassion, not of intrusion on your freedom.
they say, and that's what we're not.
That's all. And the inclination of the human spirit is to commune. I'm right with you, woman. It's so anathema to the spirit, to the body, to the mind, to everything that we are. But we've got to check those impulses and really do what's best for our brothers and sisters in near vicinity. And take heed from the examples in other countries, other cities, where they're not as privileged to have the dialogue that we're having right now among extremely skilled social distancing yogis in this elegant, spacious veranda. But we should be careful and be intelligent. And meanwhile, it doesn't mean, for me, the lack of intimacy, the lack of wisdom, the lack of caring. So I would ask you to go home tonight with the whom you go home with, and come back tomorrow with the fresh insight of how you practiced intimacy, compassion, and caring within the respect for the whole.
I was just expressing a
Yeah.
dialogue.
Yeah. I mean, at the moment, we're enormously privileged here at this second in time to be doing what we're doing. We're not in Wuhan, we're not in northern Italy, we're not in California, we're not in New York, we're not in France and Spain and Germany. There are troops out in the street in lots of places. Mandatory crime against humanity to leave your flat. Both jail time and heavy financial penalties. They're enforcing compassion. I don't know how to predict that in other places in the world, but there seem to be precedents that this coronavirus knows no boundaries unless we create them. And I think that's the wisdom of what we need to inhabit. And I'm right with you. I was here, you weren't here, but we did a retreat here just it must have been in December. And it was 6 days, and the whole purpose of it was to do something so different than committing for a long retreat and paying a lot of money. So we created, based upon the support of Terry and Ian, a drop-in retreat. It was, for me, it was heaven. To meet new people, single mothers and fathers who never get a chance to come out because they're not supported. And it was offered as a gift. Because of their gift, I extended the gift. And people gifted each other. And it was just a joy for me. And I've come back to Bali to be in this 6-day retreat. And every day I've had to cut back. A week before, now it's 3 days, from open-ended to no more than 10. And I'm just waiting to go home to look at the news. Am I being idiotic, even bringing people together? You know? And if that's the case, we'll call it off. So please help me in that process. But there's something to do with something right now to not give up exactly what you're bringing up so beautifully. I hear you. I'm right there feeling you. I'd want you to be near me in my times of struggle. I'll close with this before the day goes on. You know, I don't know, I'm not going to bring age into this, but back in the day when I was younger, I was in Burma as a monk. And I was gifted. I felt like I was in heaven in this monastery. I'd abandoned America and the war machine and finances. I loved intimacy, but I really loved freedom and trust and communion. And I was meditating for a couple of years. A great teacher that just adored me. We got down 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight. Nothing was off the table in terms of questions. I loved it. And I remember one day, there was a group of supporters in the dining hall, because we ate together as nuns and monks. And those who offered the food were laymen and laywomen who had come for the day, for the meal, because they practice what's known as dana, unconditional generosity, by giving us medicines and robes and food. We weren't allowed to own money or touch money. Anyway, there was an elder man sitting in front of me. We weren't supported in talking. And he looked at me. He must have been in his 70s. I was late 20s. And he was crying a bit, but not weeping. He was crying with what looked to be joy. And I broke silence and I asked him, I'll never forget this. I've told this story hundreds of times, but it's always brand new for me. I said, may I ask, why are you crying? He says, your teacher told me, Sayadaw U Pandita, that you've come from America. This was back in the day, long before the internet and so on and so forth, way back. And Burma was closed off by the dictatorship, and so traveling was thought to be like intergalactic to come from the west to Burma. It was a closed society. He said, you've come from America all this way, and you're a monk in my country. And he told me you've been practicing for 2 years. And here I am as the village head. All of my villagers and my family were here providing food for the nuns and monks. And this is my first time in my life I've had a chance to meditate, because I've been so occupied with my role in the village. I found that rather breathtaking, that he said that to me. And here I was practicing my 10, 12, 14, 18 hours a day of silence and meditation. It felt sort of like another day at the beach. What do you do after a year of being mindful of your thoughts come and go, and your peace and your well-being, and bathing and shaving your head and walking slowly and eating mindfully with your brothers and sisters? It becomes natural. And I had a little bit of a taking for granted in that process of naturalness. And so he re-inspired me. I'm almost done. And so I recommitted to the intimacy of the practice, to look more intimately what Ian brought up about true nature. Why am I here? What am I not seeing? Looking through blame and projection and comfort, another day in the life. Defying anicca. I didn't really embrace anicca vata sankhara. This was impermanent. And within a couple of days, I've written about this too, I had this terrible pain arise. And I had a very severe case of dysentery, amoebic dysentery. I thought I could just take the antibiotics and clear it right up, which I'd done before, but it sustained. And then the next thing you know, I got typhoid. But I took the antibiotics and the pain went away fairly soon. But then they found the cyst that had to be removed from my body, and I had to be operated on. And it was a botched operation where there was blood poisoning, and I had to take antibiotics, and then I had to get intravenous. And I lost 20, 30 pounds, and I couldn't move anymore, and I got hepatitis. Yes, on and on. It went from the certainty of another breath and a focused mind to the absolute collapse of my physical truth and reality, all based upon this unexpected moment of anicca vata sankhara. Change is inherent. Anyway, my teacher Sayadaw U Pandita asked some of his lay supporters to care for me. I had never in my life been cared for by people when I couldn't move my body. It's one thing to have your brow or your lips moistened with something wet when you have a high fever, but it's another thing altogether. Maybe you have done this and maybe you've had it done to you. It's another thing altogether to be cared for on a very physical, naked level with your hygiene and with your call to nature, by strangers lifting me out of bed, bathing me, taking me to the toilet, putting me back into bed, being intravenous, day in and day out for nearly 9 months, where I thought I was going to die. The embassy came, fly you to Bangkok, you must leave, you must leave. My mother and father writing frantic letters and calling the monastery. But I was at home with my family. My point is, I never understood how interdependent and utterly dependent we are on each other. I could not be alive without these strangers doing what they did. You know something? What I'm saying to you might be seen as complete folly next week, 2 weeks from now. I don't know what medical situations are like here. It may be that you say, Alan, you know, I heard you talk to me in the group the other day about social distancing, but you know, you've contracted the coronavirus. And you know something? I'm going to care for you as you were cared for in the monastery. And if I get it, I get it. I'm going to practice safe medical distancing. But even first responders all over the world are getting it. No matter what we do, we can't avoid anicca. It will take us. And so I beg of you, please be safe, but don't abandon me in the process, as I won't abandon you. I'm sorry?
I was just expressing my inner desire sharing.
Yeah.
I will go into
Namaste.
solitude.
Namaste. We're going to end today and begin the evening session at home, wherever you go. From my heart to yours, thank you for showing up today. I encourage you to drop all narratives of history, of story. Come to the evening with fresh, intense openness. Bring your mindful intelligence to the edge of your being. Let's take these 3 days that are so precious. I don't know that it'll ever happen again for me. And take it higher tonight and come back tomorrow at 9. Bring our yoga, bring our mindfulness, bring our yoga, bring our mindfulness, bring our hearts, bring our soul. And let's take it higher together in this process. So from my heart to yours, thank you for being here today. Have a beautiful night, and I will hope to see you in the morning. And if there is anyone that you feel intimately connected to, that you want to bring, you're open to doing that, up to 10 people here. So good night. Thank you. Thank you online.
That has been Alan Clements Uncensored. Thank you for listening. You can find the entire list of my podcasts at alanclements.com, along with my books and upcoming events and live broadcasts. In addition, you can also book a private session with me if you wish by phone or Skype on the website. If you're a regular listener or simply feel moved to support my work, you can make a one-time donation or a recurring donation, a tax-deductible one, in any amount you feel comfortable, either on the support page of alanclements.com or a monthly pledge through my Patreon site at patreon.com/AlanClements. Thank you for listening to my podcast, and thank you for sharing word of it among your friends and on social media. Thank you from my heart. Until the next time, blaze on with fearless love.